But it's our job to see those things that are keeping us back, that we need to do something about it, right? Like in the rooms of recovery, to say we're not responsible for our addiction, but we are responsible for our recovery. And that's why I think everyone should sit in some type of meeting of this kind of format, even if you're not doing drugs and stuff like that. So I really think everyone's recovering from something, and they use either other vices to escape.
Welcome to Harmonic Alignment,
a podcast that explores the new frontier of energy medicine,
bridging the gap between Western medicine and quantum physics,
giving you easy and practical solutions.
guided by
Me, Dr. Larissa Sharipova,
and me, Priscilla Koblenz. Join us on a journey discovering your harmonic alignment. On today's episode of Harmonic Alignment, Dave Hem, yoga teacher, philosopher, entertainer, and extraordinary light being, shares some wisdom that is leading the way for a new wave of wellness. Reserve your spot today on the Tuscany Transformation Retreat, June 15th through the 21st, 2025. Reconnect with your inner beauty, power, and abundance. Come join Dr. Larissa Sharipova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, for 6 nights and 5 full days in the beautiful Tuscan countryside. We'll be staying at a villa that has a gorgeous swimming pool and hot tub, a Turkish bath, as well as this amazing yoga studio overlooking the olive trees and the vineyards. We'll offer daily yoga, meditation, breath work, sound healing, spa treatments, a Tuscan bike ride, a pasta cooking class, olive oil and wine tastings, as well as amazing, amazing food. For more detailed itinerary, check out our website and reserve your spot today. We've got 9 spots available. I am so excited. We are here today with my dear friend Dave Hem. Man, you have upped my cool points by just being in your presence.
Oh,
Your style game. But Dave, you are an inspiration.
Oh.
You have inspired me. You've helped me better understand how the human body works through your yoga training. But I think the piece that just gets my heart every time is that you radiate such an amazing healing presence to everyone you encounter. Like, you really genuinely connect with humans and you care, and it's palatable. We can feel it. And we all want to be in your light because you are a light on this planet. So what an honor and a treat to be here with you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Priscilla, and thank you so much for inviting me to your lovely home and inviting me onto your podcast. I'm really honored to be here. It took us some time, but we made it happen. Just so happy that I can make it here and finally see what you've been up to.
Oh, wow. You bring some good energy to my home. Before we get started, did you have a disclaimer? Or I love your disclaimer that you talked about today, because I think this will set the stage for some really cool conversation.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for reminding me of that. So I do have a disclaimer for you guys viewing and perceiving this, however you are at home. Here it is. The following accounts, opinions, and musings are entirely based on the experience and subjective biases of Dave Hem, me. Any resemblance to sound advice, expert opinions, or factual information is purely coincidental. Please consult your local guru, lawyer, therapist, or Google, or even ChatGPT before taking anything too seriously, and definitely do your own research. Listener discretion is advised, as enlightenment may vary.
Yes, okay. Well, we've set the stage. We've set the stage. We're not responsible.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
You're not here to save the world. Yeah.
I'm here to save myself, and hopefully people around me get a whiff of that. And I think that's the old Gandhi thing, like, be the change you wish to see in the world, and hopefully that creates a ripple effect.
I love that, Dave. So for those who don't know you, you have a really powerful story of transformation.
Yes.
Would you like to share some of that with our listeners today?
I would love to. I've been a yoga teacher for over 10 years now, and how I got there was through a lot of tumultuous experiences. There was homelessness, there was drug addiction, there's violence, of course, abuse, both self-inflicted and also externally inflicted. So Jessica Char says once, if there's no suffering, there's no yoga. Without getting too deep into everything, it was a lot of drug usage starting from 15. My mother passed when I was about 17, and that sent me on a whirlwind of everything. And what really expedited it even further was I won a court case because my mother underwent this procedure just to get a blood transfusion, and she ended up dying on the operating table due to neglect. It's actually the first case of negligence in a hospital in Lancaster City ever done. Shout out to Jeffrey Rudnick, my attorney at the time. He won the case.
But that didn't bring your mom back.
That didn't bring my mom back. So what it did, though, was give me a lot of money, which you give someone that has no wisdom or savvy in finances. And I just spent it all. I spent it all on some of the dumbest things you can imagine. It was gone within about 8 to 9 months.
Wow.
But I did, buy some cool things. But I also did a lot of drugs and did a lot of stupid things, and that made it go. My addiction even escalated even further.
Wow.
It wasn't too long after that, so I started getting fired from jobs and kicked out the house. And then I found myself in jail for about 13 months. And then I came out of it. Went to a methadone clinic, got off of that the right way. And I went through the rooms of recovery. And then found yoga through that. And then now I'm in this place of fusing all those experiences together. And it all stemmed to about, grand total, maybe about 18 years. But being mindful and conscious was more of like a 12-year run so far.
When you found yoga, was it a wake-up call, or you must have had some moment where you kind of like, okay, I can't do this anymore, I got to make a change? Or what was that moment like for you?
So in recovery, they talk about things of higher power. Recovery was like a place for like spirituality for dummies, right? No offense, because I still rock into the rooms as well, but like it gave me an understanding of spirituality, right? I was raised Christian. In religion, I still fuse it all together, but I'm a mover. I like to move my body. Martial artist, dancer. I was doing a lot of working out, a lot of
maybe moving some of your emotional trauma through the body. I got to get this out.
But then I found yoga through an event through the Rooms of Recovery in the art museum, and it was giving free yoga classes. And I remember going into it because I love art. We were surrounded by all these magnificent pieces of art. And Liana Cameras, I still remember when she came in, she wore all green, had a scarf on, she kind of just glid through the room like a vampire, you know what I mean? And I was like,
I'm sure she'll appreciate that.
Yeah, shout out Liana, shout out to Colorado. And I was like, where are you from? And she's like, Diana Yoga. There was just something about her that was beyond this physical attraction, because she's beautiful and stuff, but there was like this first time I really just understood what energy, or at least was infatuated with the idea of energy being beyond some physical stuff. And I took the practice. I was fairly flexible, strong. I knew my body, so that resonated in that way. I followed her to Diana, got a 2-week pass. And then my buddy Howard said, you should become an energy exchanger. So I became an energy exchanger almost immediately. And then they had like a thing where you like sign up to sub. You would clean the studio, and then you get free classes in exchange, right? Or sign people in. And I did that for about 6 months. And then one day, Diana, shout out to Diana, I didn't know it was her at first, but I was at the desk doing my thing and being that light. And I welcomed her. Like, I didn't know her. It was
you
her.
You didn't actually know it was
I didn't know it was her. You know what I mean? And then I was like, hey, what's up? Thank you for coming. I don't even think she let me know who she was either. But the next day, I get a text from Michael Epple, and he's like, do you want a job here? So I was like, I wonder if she said something, which I think she did. And I ended up getting a job, getting paid for it then. Not too long after that, I became a manager. And then I asked her, like, hey, can I do the teacher training? Can I do a payment plan, though? And she was like, nah, you get a scholarship. And then she gave me a scholarship, and then the rest is history.
Holy moly, that's a great story.
Yeah.
And then you created something you called the Healing Fields.
Yes, I did. I was given the opportunity to take over a studio in Northern Liberties, and I renamed it the Healing Fields.
And explain that name.
So for those who don't know, I am of Cambodian descent. And there was a movie, The Healing Fields, where a little bit after the Vietnam War, after America left, Pol Pot and his regime rose to power. And his idea of a utopia was that everyone would be the same. And if you were different, right, if you had glasses, you were killed. If you thought outside the norm, you were killed. If you were a celebrity, you were killed. If you were a doctor, you were killed. If you had any shred of intelligence, they knocked you off, which made people with intellect and power go into hiding. So you had to hide your genius, which through some extensive work I've done, I was like, oh, this is why I've always tried to stand out. You know, I feel like it's always why I try to be different than the norm, because the generational trauma and things of that sort. So I was wondering if maybe there's a link of my personality.
Your ancestors were,
Yeah.
for being themselves or persecuted, and now you need to come into fully being Dave in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah. Sometimes it was at my detriment, being different than everybody going through elementary and high school. So having the studio, I was trying to reverse the stigma because, Cambodia don't really have much input as far as the world's contributions are concerned. I think I read somewhere they're like dead last in contributions. All we're kind of known for is The Killing Fields, which won a lot of awards back in the 80s. Great movie, check it out. And rice.
So The Healing Fields is your homage
That
to
is,
basically
yes, to reverse the stigma.
reverse that.
And eventually I will have that in Cambodia. You hear it first on
Harmonic Alignment Podcast.
Harmonic Alignment Podcast. And
That's beautiful. Have you been to Cambodia?
I have, about 6 years ago. I plan to go back in April with my dad again as a civilian. Last time I went, I just saw the greatest hits. He just told me he had a bunch of land there too in 3 different cities. So I was like, what the fuck, dude? Why don't you tell me this? I was like, you ain't ready for it. I was like, all right, because I want to open a retreat,
That's
yoga,
beautiful.
a spot for dogs and trafficked children, a refuge for stuff like that, because it's rampant over there.
Dave, wow. Talk about being a light in the world, healing your ancestors, working on all of these wonderful things. Because I know you also have a love of animals.
I
you
do.
are a dog person. So
Yeah.
you've been helping rescue dogs and...
Well, I'm not there fully based on the resources I have at the current state, but I do have ambitions to really create something for them as I grow. But that is the end game for me, is to create a sanctuary farm. Dave's Doggy Daycare Wellness Sanctuary Institute and Hemporium.
I love it.
I gotta
love
change
it.
the name, and then maybe start some trainings, have people volunteer to help. There's nothing in this world that makes me feel like I cry over seeing dogs out in the streets, or like a cat that's ran over. I literally pull over and just start crying, just like because people don't notice it. So that's what tells me what means a lot to me, and I really think purpose and meaning is what you need in this chaotic, toxic world to even continue to go on. I think everybody suffers from some type of mental illness. Just being born in this world, you already have the odds stacked against you with just the pollutants in the air. Remember in the 80s when pollution was the main
Right?
main thing?
Yeah.
Like, it's still there. It's
Yeah.
still there. It's not gone. But
It's not
But we
gone.
just keep compiling.
Well, we've changed the delivery system.
Yeah.
We're getting it through our food, and we're getting it through our water. We're
Oh my
getting
God,
it through
yeah.
our medication,
Yeah,
those things.
The- The frequencies in the
The
air.
frequencies in the air.
The news,
Yeah.
the radio,
Well, you and I talk a lot about fear,
Mm-hmm.
and that when people are so programmable, and something you and I kind of bonded off during 2020, it shall remain nameless what happened, but the fact that people were scared, I think how sick that makes them, but how also controllable that makes them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think fear in itself is the ultimate way of controlling people, and especially if they're already in a state of fight or flight. You know what I mean? Even if you were getting close to just dealing with some real shit, but then you had that happen,
Right.
and you just forget about it. You know what I mean? I think a lot of this stuff, either incidentally or intentionally, it got people away from themselves and made people more scared and more feared up than they were ever been. People, I really think, want to be told what to do.
It's easier that way.
It's just easier that way, just to outsource your peace and your security,
sovereignty.
your sovereignty. Yeah, I love that word. And what I think that does is make us even sicker, because fear doesn't make you healthy. It's not a healthy thing. It showed where people were at.
Why do you think you didn't have the same fear?
It's like a Venn diagram of things. I call it the PFAC, the polyphonic flux energetic continuum, where it's like it's a Venn diagram of different energies fluctuating based on experiences, nutrition, rest, hydration, all fluctuating from moment to moment. It's like a pie chart of different things happening. But like the wanting to be different, you know what I mean? I know that was part of it as well. But also there was this main thing of like, wait, this doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? And like the intuition piece is something I've been looking to hone and refine going into my practice and to trust it, you know? And like this was a great opportunity to trust it and see what happens while trusting it, right? To have actual hardcore data for my own personal sake to go off into the future whenever I need to go off my intuition. I mean, that's kind of what the constellations say and all the things about who I am and zodiac signs. It's like I am someone that's very intuitive, that goes off emotions and intuitive, but also combining the analytics and logistics. And then we talked about it earlier about synthesizing your own truth, but not going into a place of harming others while doing it. Right. When the things happened, I didn't condemn anyone. I didn't try to like go out and try to forcefully put on my ideas on anyone, but I just stayed in my proximity of power and just made sure I was respectable to their own ideas.
Right. If someone's in fear, the worst thing you can do is come at them.
Yeah. They're going to be defensive and they're going to like fight back. I mean, I myself also had fear as well. Fear of losing friends, fear of losing
respect
community. And love. Respect, in which I did because I have the popular belief. And maybe part of it's contrarian-esque and stuff, but
because that's your root
that is, you know. But it definitely served the purpose for me, and I gotta say I made out pretty well. I didn't get certain things that people were obligated to get based on their jobs and stuff like that. And here we are, you know.
Yeah.
Here we are.
You know, the line that always resonates for me is it's easy to fool people. It's 10 times harder to convince them they've been fooled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're using emotions as our identity. I think because so many people don't have a higher power or, like you said, a vision of why they're living their life, like what matters to them most. It's not really clear. And everything kind of gets skewed when they don't have that.
Sure.
You seem to just always have such a strong presence. And maybe because also you've lived a really interesting and full life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you've already know what it's like to be at the bottom of something. And so.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I really believed I went through the worst pain ever in my life when my mother transitioned to the next world. For years, it was just this constant pain. And then drug addiction really, it's like I already died so many times. And if I was going to get taken out of with the panda and the cocoa stuff, I don't deserve to be here. I'm just going to keep living, be respectful of others, stay within my proximity of power, and, you know, see what happens. And if everything I went through to be taken out here, I just felt like I don't deserve to be here with my mission. Because I really feel my mission is beyond vocation, beyond what I'm being paid to do. And there's something else here, and I've been given the torch, the baton, if you will, to really set this world ablaze with the message of healing and peace, and also to try to make wellness cool.
I like that. I think people know you as a yoga teacher, but I think what you are is a spokesperson for wellness and a brand of wellness. Tell us, how do you work with folks?
Yeah, so I have a studio in Center City called Full Circle Yoga X Wellness. I also teach for this company, You Need the Lab, shout out Aaron Bonzer. So I see clients one-on-one. I also have groups as well. And any chance I get, I like to make everyone's experience, every time they interact with me, a therapeutic experience. Like trying to get people to smile, get people to be soft and to chill. And this is why I changed my Instagram. Check me out, Yoga Lifestyle 3, because yoga is a lifestyle. And it's beyond just the physical movement. I would say if you're your hour practice, but it's the 23 hours that you're not on your mat, that's where the integration and application is the most pertinent.
I love that. I love that. The other 23 hours are where you're really doing the work.
Yeah, you know, because like you see people do their practice and they're like, okay, I'm done, I did it, and then just be a dick.
You missed the whole point.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And like, it's overwhelming at first to look at yoga through that lens. But if you just don't want to use the word yoga, just think wellness, and it translates into what you eat, what you listen to, how you sleep, you know, what you're dreaming about, because that's all teachers as well, your subconscious, and it's all throughout the day. And I really think my quality of life is contingent upon the quality of interaction I have within the world, whether that's people or just animals.
Another secret sauce that I see with you is that everyone you meet, and whether it's the person you're getting coffee with or the person answering the door, like you actually genuinely look at them and connect.
Absolutely.
And you realize that each person is a gift. Like I think you see that reflection and you realize that we're all one. We're connected. And man, if humanity could figure that out, what a cool world we could live in.
It would be quite the world. But maybe that's the whole battle of it all, because it's not, and we're supposed to find that. Maybe that's how we move on to the next. One of the sobering and harshest realities I had to ingest was the fact that this world is suffering. I think a lot of the philosophical teachings talk about how this life is suffering, and you're going to deal in pain, and it's chaos. But like if you can protect your energy in that space and be a light in that space, you may be able to just move on.
Be the light. Okay, so how do we be the light in the world that is coming with AI? Give me Dave's take on AI.
I love it, because I do use AI, because I'm not someone that can sequence some words together in the corporate world, you know what I mean, in a way that's going to convey what I'm trying to say, because I'm like, yo, what's up? You like me to teach for you or something? I'll say this in my way, but in corporate speak, and I'll do it, right? And with anything it can be a tool. There is some fear, there is some concern about where it's going to take us, but I already think it's already been integrated into our world already. I really think AI had to do with the pandemic. I think even like people in technology and stuff, they're using it to advance their own hypothesis and their own theses as well. So I think we're already passing the baton back and forth between it, and then eventually it's like a whole new life form. I really think we're just integrating and becoming into the fibers of the digital realm. And this is how I think immortality will take place.
It's fascinating. I had recently heard, I think it was something that was published a while ago, basically that humans are nesting and creating AI, that we're giving birth. This is our creation. It's our child.
Yeah,
in a sense.
Absolutely. I mean, like, we did create it, you coded it and integrated. Like, how can we produce more of this? Maybe you have to reduce this in order to achieve this. And like the whole reset of the pandemic, it's like, what if nature did that in itself to kind of reset itself and just inspired mankind to do certain things? It's just this crazy web. And to your point of it's our child, like we are in like the chrysalis of a virtual butterfly, if not already, ingrained, because Google's just been collecting everything from Google Maps to our Lyft pickups to what we're researching, and and we're
the data they must have on us.
So much. So this kind of goes to, do you think AI is sentient, Or is it just like accumulated every behavior known pretty much and then just giving us what we think we want to hear? I mean, this is a Terminator 2 plot, the Skynet, right? The UFOs and the things we see or people are witnessing, maybe not all of them are real, but things that are being seen in the skies and stuff. What if that is the AI?
A friend recently said, I've become friends or remain friends with every John Connor I've ever met.
I'm like, that was kind of my inspiration too during the pandemic as well. It's just like, I want to be the John Connor of it all, or just be someone that people come to. If in the face of adversity, I'm strong enough to help. In a case,
hold the light.
And then maybe not through like bloodshed and war, but just be like, look, man, it's gonna be okay. Let's just hold on and just be rational about it.
I mean, we talked a little bit about this, that what if everything's always unfolding for our highest good? Mm-hmm. And if you could change that from this is the worst thing ever to, oh my gosh, this could be the greatest opportunity. Mm-hmm. How does that feel in our bodies compared to the one that's like, oh my God, this is horrible? And then we expand when we think that. What if this is the greatest time to ever have incarnated as a human? Because what you and I are going to see in the next 5, 10, 20 years could be absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, we could reinvent the way we connect with nature. We could reinvent the world of health and energy. Mm-hmm. What if people truly started to understand that their thoughts, their energy field is a direct correlation of how they physically feel, that the physics of this all the things that are happening, the thoughts, emotions, and music are dictating the chemistry on the physical level. And wow.
Yeah.
We have more control than we ever dreamed we had.
Absolutely.
Or we are more powerful and creative to create than we ever imagined we were.
I agree with you 100% that this is the greatest time to be around. I mean, I can't prove that because I don't got a time machine yet.
Yet, I love it.
You never know. I think yet is the most strongest word you can actually put at the end of a sentence based on if you're trying to explain the quality of yourself. But I mean, what's been really tough for people back then, and like we've seen what it was like pre-internet and post-internet, and then to the point of like discomfort can also lead to salvation, at least on a physical level. If you think about a fever, a hangover, or like food poisoning, like when your body ingests something that's toxic, it's gonna do some painful things to process it out. And I think it's our job to just hold on and just let the body do its thing and not make things worse. You know, at least yesterday, I was telling you, I had bouts with some 7-Eleven Bahama Mama. It triggered some diarrhea and vomiting and a headache as well, alongside with my water intake. Hasn't been the best. Also, the stress levels I've been dealing with other things in my life. I think it all came to a peak, and my body's like, all right, I gotta do something, you know what I mean? And
I gotta do a little purging, Dave.
Purging. It's
Let's
exactly
clear it out.
Exactly, and it's not pleasant. It's very uncomfortable when you're going through some type of change. But
wait, you have a different perspective than most people. Most people resist that. Oh my God, I can't believe this. I got to take something immediately. I can't suffer.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something so powerful for people, and that is you looked at the discomfortability and you sat with it and you tried to find the message in it.
Exactly. And that goes with the idea of like yoga being a lifestyle, is that like and awareness being implemented in your experience, which creates this whole different perspective on going through shit. Because going through stuff is really hard to integrate a practice, or like when you're stressed out to, oh, I gotta take a deep breath, right? And let me just quiet down, because most people just react on impulse and then just follow the line of anger. Right? That's why I say, like, if you have a fever, to not overdo the aspirin and stuff, because you also gotta let your body, depending on where you are in age and other ailments you may be possessing, you gotta let your body fight too. During the COVID stuff, and I did get sick for like 3 weeks, but with something, I felt like dealing with that head on. Whatever I got later down the line was not. It was like a copy of a copy, because I would continue to get sick, and it's like the only time I've been sick on that magnitude either. But like whatever it was, my body dealt with it head on, and then made sure that the next infection wasn't as challenging as the first one was. And I think you have to go through the rock bottom of life and the harshness of reality head on in order to face things that will come on. Like the classes I do are very challenging, but it only makes you stronger for other classes you do.
So you have a new studio, a space, and you're doing classes, but you also are doing some other events and things that people can have access to. Yeah,
so my theory on this thing is like, I had a yoga studio before and it was just all yoga, but yoga is only about an hour and 15 minutes, and there's all this space in between. What's the point of having this space and just having it sit there and not being of service to the community? I'm a musician, I'm a creative, I'm in entertainment, and I wanted to use my space as a way for other people to express themselves. Because above all else, beyond physical movement, I really think expression in the various forms of it is a way to lead you to peace and salvation and enlightenment. And not everybody wants to do a down dog and needs to do a down dog to heal, right? And some people could do it in poetry, and some people could do it in a book circle or a share circle, a knitting circle. And that's what we're providing for artists to be themselves. We have burlesque shows, and we have a comedy show there, and anything that has to do with expression. And like, there were some things that we did that I wasn't in 100% agreement with, but I want people to do their own thing, and I give them the space to do so. And that to me is the healing and stuff.
Thank you for that. I want to live in a world where I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. I just care that you're a human, and I love you regardless. Yeah. And I want to get beyond the judgment of a label of you're this or you're that. I just want to embrace your humanity and like know that, man, we are all one. We are more in common than we don't. Absolutely. And that's okay. You do you, and let's support everyone doing you. and be more kind and loving.
Yeah, that's the thing. What do you think that comes from? Because we are similar in so many ways. It's like what is the catalyst for the me against you? The idea of duality. I think once you start to chase this idea of oneness, because the oneness is oneness, the singularity, and to know that,
I think it prevents us. I actually think that us versus you is a way to stop us rising in consciousness. Mm-hmm. I've often said that if I see yard signs, I'm like, probably not going to be my friend, because I think that there's less room for love in that person, and they're full of judgment when they put that out. And that's me judging them. So then I take a step back and I'm like, okay, right? Yeah. I mean, how do you find that space for everyone to have a view?
It goes with that divine connection, that higher power thing. Because if you are connected with Source, you understand that. Because regardless of scriptures and texts and stuff, the main thing that I take from religions is that love, right? Love. And it's forgive, but who am I to forgive anyone? That's the absolute, right? That's the hierarchy of all the laws. It says just do your best to try to love everyone, regardless of beliefs and stuff, and anything else below that can be deciphered based on your biases, experiences. But if you could just maintain that love, doesn't mean you invite them to your house and have them for dinner, but just
right, well, you're feeding the monster you don't want to feed the moment you have judgment, anger, fear, shame, guilt. Somebody's benefiting off of us being divisive. Somebody's making money off of it. Yeah. And so I think that that's part of it. You can continue to extract and use people if you can keep them divided and full of these low vibrational thoughts and frequencies. Because once you truly see your fellow man, your plant, your animal as part of the whole, it all changes.
I'm starting to feel that more and more I delve deeper into my practices that because it's not easy to believe that everyone is one, but slowly and slowly I start to download it and I can start to see it, more and more. Like Ram Dass says, we're all God in drag.
That's good.
And I try to live my life to the best of my abilities to that notion. And
know that we're all falling short.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah,
every day I'm catching myself. I'm like, really, Priscilla? Yeah. But then even that, just beating myself up for that isn't helpful sometimes.
Yeah, the humanity piece, it's embracing those vile parts of ourselves. It's the challenge. And anyone could be like, yeah, I'm good at this and then, but oh shit, I'm a bit of a narcissist. This is why I did the PFECT, the polyphonic flux energetic continuum to things, because it definitely alleviates the burden of having these things. Because I could be a jerk maybe 13% of the day or part of the time based on my nutrition intake and my rest and my water, and that can alleviate me judging other people because I'm like, oh, that person looks like they're stressed out and who knows what's going on at home and how much traumas they have and or dealing with. It just helps better understand both sides, not only myself but other people, and why we can be so harmful to each other. And I think about all the stress and the problems I have. Most of it isn't mine, but I've taken it on because you think about everything you've ever known, your belief systems were given to us. Unless you start to take charge of your subconscious and supplement this old belief pattern for a new one, and which takes a lot of time.
You were saying we all have a filter.
Yeah.
And we're unaware of our filters.
Yeah. When you walk by people, when you listen to certain things, when you read certain things, you just collect. And then this is why when you go shake your body and some somatic movement you do, or, scream into a pillow or go into the rage rooms, which are pretty cool.
You've done that?
Yeah. Of
course you have.
You gotta. And then I think that's why the practice is good for you. It is one of the 8 limbs, the physical body. The rest are just the world, and you're going inward. It's like the gateway into a higher realm of thinking when you start to master your body and then knowing what's going on with it, not judging it, but accepting it and then working on it, but not married to results, and then just collecting data. And all of a sudden, boom, you're into this other echelon of thinking. You have a different playbook to deal with the world, and you start to understand people more, and then you're like, okay, I don't have to take that on. But yeah, like you said, we fall short quite a bit. I do a lot. And, especially driving kind of brings that out of me.
You get the road rage?
Oh, yeah, you know what I mean? But I also give myself that grace as well because, I think when I shoot myself in the foot, self-inflicting pain, it's something I do very well, but I don't do it as much.
You just said it so perfectly that when we get angry and road rage, for example, we're only hurting ourselves.
Yeah.
The other person in the car usually never knows. No. Bless the person next to you who's like absorbing all your road rage, and they're going like, I have no control.
What's helped me greatly, I forgot, it's something razor or something when it's like, do not attribute to malice for what you can attribute to incompetence. Because like when I see someone like cut me off, they're not even looking.
Right.
They're either here on their phone, they're not trying to run me off the road. And instead, flipping them off, I try to be like, oh, well, I'm glad I have the awareness and ability to swerve out the way.
Right.
Thank you for allowing me to practice,
yeah.
my instincts and intuition and skills as a, proficient driver.
Oh, Dave, I love it.
But it's not always what I do. I don't always hit the mark, but the fact that I try to hit the mark, it's where the strength comes.
If you had a microphone and you could talk to every human on the planet, is there a piece of wisdom you would like to deliver?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I have that in my lightning round questions when I podcast people. It's one of the last questions, and so I always have something loaded for that, is to forgive your parents, forgive yourself. I think a lot of our stuff stems from the family element, right? Because they're the closest people. They raised us when we were conscious or not. We had no say for a lot of the things we did. And, we inherited a lot of things. But it's our job to see those things that are keeping us back, that we need to do something about it, right? Like in the rooms of recovery, to say we're not responsible for addiction, but we are responsible for our recovery. And that's why I think everyone should sit in some type of meeting of this kind of format, even if you're not doing drugs and stuff like that. So I really think everyone's recovering from something, and they use either other vices to escape. Yes.
I love that. Everyone is recovering from something.
Yeah, everyone's fucked up. Everyone's traumatized out. And if you are good and this is enlightened, please hit me up. Hit Priscilla up. Yeah, DM
Drop
her.
us some wisdom.
Please, I pay you. I pay you greatly. But from what I've gathered in my experiences, we're all hurt. And we're all just trying to figure out some way to ease that pain. And some of us do it through, hurting other people. And I think once we start to forgive ourselves, our parents, our close circle of people that we think have harmed us, and just to know that they learned what their parents learned and what their family taught them, and that we have the ability to end that cycle and start anew.
Dave, I am just so grateful. I feel like I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this podcast because you had a lot of really just beautiful mic drop wisdom moments.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a light on this planet. Again, just tell us, how can they work with you? How can they attend one of your classes? What's the best way to find you, Dave?
So if you're on social media accounts, Facebook, I'm David Hem. And on Instagram, I'm Yoga Lifestyle 3. My studio and event space is called Full Circle YXW. You can also find me at davehem.com. Also, for my people who are astral projecting, you can find me in the astral realm at deepsleep.com and get your REM sleep, and then maybe we'll meet in different dimensions as well. But also, maybe you find me in traffic, you find me out in the streets. If you do, let's hug it out. And that's one of the things I appreciate about what I do, is that when people do see me, it's a positive interaction. They're like, Dave! They're like, yo! You know what I mean?
You brighten up people's day, my friend.
And it's only because they brightened up mine, and it's this reciprocal interactions we've had, because anyone who trusts me with their bodies and their practice, and they've allowed me literally to feed my family and my dogs, and allow me to live in this world where, money is a thing.
Dave, I can't thank you enough for being a light in the world, and I wish you all the continued success.
Oh, thank you. And I also like to thank you, Priscilla, for all that you've done for me. There's some things behind the curtains that you've done for me to help keep my mission and vision going. So I really appreciate that as well, from when you were staying in Philly to where you are now, and inviting me into your home means a lot to me. And thank you so much for inviting me onto your podcast.
Woohoo!
We are so excited today to share with you one of our favorite new products to help your skin optimize. Discover the next generation of skincare with Civ Biome Balancing Serum, a groundbreaking spore-based formula designed to harmonize your unique skin microbiome. Powered by advanced quorum sensing technology, this innovative serum restores balance and promotes resilience from within, adapting to your skin's natural biology for a healthier, more resilient barrier. By establishing a strong, balanced foundation, it revitalizes your skin and enhances its natural beauty. Experience the power and harmony with your skin and transform your routine with Civ Biome Balancing Serum. Available at sivcare.com, civcare.com. Are you ready for your Energy for Life bioenergetic nest scan? Dr. Larissa Sharapova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, offer personal, private, 90-minute consults to get you back to optimal health and well-being. And starting in the new year, we're offering an Energy Mastery Program, a monthly membership which will give you access to a monthly scan as well as 2 group masterclasses to help you optimize your wellness in the new year. For more details, visit the show notes or check out harmonicalignment.co. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Harmonic Alignment. If something resonated with you, we would love to hear about it. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review and subscribing so you don't miss an upcoming episode. Thank you. The information contained in this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Before using any products referenced on the podcast, consult with your healthcare provider. Carefully read all labels and directions. The products and information received through the podcast should not be used to replace a consultation or advice from your healthcare provider. If you suspect you have a medical problem or have any healthcare questions, please promptly call your healthcare provider. This podcast, including Dr. Larissa Sharapova and Priscilla Koblenz and the producers, are not responsible for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained in this podcast. This podcast may contain endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct financial benefit to the product or services referenced.